Who is this man who has placed his foot upon a sacred lingam, upon a sacred idol? This is the story of Bedara Kannappa, whose devotions shook the very foundations of what people believed worship should be like. Centuries ago, in the deep forests of South India, there lived a hunter named Tinnadu, also called as Dinna, from the Bedara tribe. The Bedaras were a community of hunters, people who survived off land, looked down upon by the so called upper caste. To the world, they were untouchables. But to Lord Shiva, they were just as divine as any priests or kings. But Tinnadu, he was an atheist. He didn't believe in gods or temples. Every day he used to fight with his parents. If Shiva was so powerful, why are we still starving? Why do we still live in the forest? For him, worship was just pointless. Prayers didn't fill stomachs. Rituals didn't bring food to the table. His faith in survival was much more stronger than the faith he had in God. One stormy night, as rain started to pour relentlessly, he found himself stumble upon an ancient cave. Seeking shelter, he stepped into the cave, only to realize that it wasn't just a cave. It was a temple of Lord Shiva himself. For the first time, something in him stirred. As soon as he looked at the lingam, he almost felt like a pull that he could not really explain that in words. That night, unknowingly, he stayed awake the entire night. Without realizing it, he was already practicing what we call now the Mahashivratri, the night of devotion, where one stays awake in honor of Lord Shiva. But Tinnadu wasn't following any ritual, he was just being present. For the first time, he was actually truly experiencing something that he could not really explain it in words, something which is beyond his even own mind. The next day, he came back, but unlike the Brahmins who would perform elaborate rituals or pujas, he worshipped in his own way. He cleaned the temple floor with his own feet, and he would bring water for the lingam, not in a silver pot, but in his own mouth. And he would place the best portions of his hunt before Lord Shiva. Not flowers, but raw meat. To the world, his methods were unholy, unclean, not a proper way to pray. But Lord Shiva never asked for rituals. He only asked for love. And what Tinnadu offered wasn't any ritual. It was raw, untamed devotion that came truly from the bottom of his heart. One day, something unimaginable happened. He found himself looking at the lingam, and he saw that eyes were starting to protrude out of the idol, as though the eyes came out of nowhere, and he felt like the Lord Shiva was looking at him. After a while, he started to notice that one eye started to bleed. There were actual blood drops coming from one eye of the idol. Tinnadu did the unimaginable. He gouged out his own eyes from the spear he had, and he placed it upon the wound, expecting that it would heal. Although it did stop bleeding, and he was very much relieved that it had stopped finally. But then the other eye of the lingam also started bleeding, and here's where the devotion breaks every rule. With no second thought, he placed his foot on the sacred idol to get an approximate distance of where he should put his eye upon the wound, to steady himself as he gouged out his other eye as well, and placed it upon the other wound. At that moment, Shiva himself appeared, not in anger and not in disapproval, but with immense love. Stop, my child. You have not seen me with your eyes, but you have seen me with your soul. And with that, Lord Shiva granted him divine vision, and it is also said that he was granted moksha, and giving him a name that would be remembered for all eternity, Kannappa, the one whose eyes became an offering to the divine. Bedara Kannappa proved that there is no correct way to pray, that God sees no perfect caste, no social status, no religion. Today, millions celebrate Mahashivratri. We stay up all night, chant mantras, offer milk, we perform grand pujas. But tell me, do these rituals even matter if the heart is empty? Is devotion measured by the purity of your caste or the purity of your soul? Is worship and devotion about how you follow the rules and rituals or about how deeply you love? So, this Mahashivratri, ask yourself, are you just following the rituals or are you truly devoted? If the story inspired you, please do share it and let the world know that devotion is not the right way, it's about your way. Happy Mahashivratri to you and your family. Om Namah Shivaya.